Welcome back to the Junk Room, everybody. It's me, the Junkman, coming back at you with another video. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, I grew up in the 80s. I actually grew up in the 70s, and then my teen years were the 80s, and then in the 90s, I guess I became an adult. But although I did grow up some of the 70s, I'm an 80s kid. There's no way about it. I mean, before in the 70s, I was under 10. And that's not really having much fun. It was some fun, but come on, man. It was fun watching Evil Knievel. But in the 80s, that was my time. Had the best movies. Had the best television shows. Had the best video games. Music. You name it. Everything was cool in the 80s. Now, a lot of scientists and stuff, have done research. Why was the 80s so cool? And it usually comes back because that's when the Junkman kid was around. And I can understand that now. But I haven't always been cool. Took a lot of work to be cool, to be this cool. Took a lot of buying Star Wars toys to be this cool. But we're not talking about me. We're talking about overall. Our kids today, do they have just as much fun as we did in the 80s? Are they as cool as we were in the 80s? Or are they kind of lame and hip? Well, let's take a look. What I'm going to do is pull up some pictures of things we were doing in the 80s and compare that same thing kids are doing today and see who had it the best. And we're going to start right here with video games. Check out this picture here. Laying around on the shag carpet playing video games. I think this is Atari right here. Might even be Space Invaders. Might even be. But we had a lot of fun. But there was one thing we didn't have fun. There was one time we didn't have fun playing video games. That was watching someone else play their turn. Didn't you hate that? Games where you had to wait till someone died before you got a turn, and you had to sit there and watch them play Atari or Nintendo. Now today, kids are running to the internet to watch people play video games. I didn't want to watch anyone play a video game. I would just hope Mario would fall in a hole or something so I could play. But let's see. These were kids at their house playing video games in the 80s. Let's see how it looks today with kids playing video games. Oh, Lord, what's some monkey business right there. Let's see. Look at this kid. He's got a bunch of Red Bulls. He's done crushed and got food all around the table. Got some cheese dip or something over there. Something moldy. I'm not really sure. He's got two monitors on his computer. I used to play Impossible Mission on my Commodore 64, one screen. And that was just a regular television hooked to my computer. Oh, man, I don't know if this kid has it better. But he sure does got better stuff. Or does he? Let's see. One, he's wearing headphones. I don't know why. He's in there by himself. I don't know why he needs the headphones. He's probably talking on the internet to somebody. But let's go back to the original picture. Look at that. We were all together. Check out the new kid, the nowadays kid, by himself. Of course, he's talking on the internet to an AI or someone he thinks is real. But look at us over there. Boy, did we have fun. We hung out with kids. We hung out with kids our own age. We hung out with kids in the neighborhood. Kids we went to school with. We hung out. This guy's over here on the computer probably talking to a pervert and don't even know it. So let's go. Speaking of arcade, let's look at hanging out in the 80s. The arcade was the place to hang out. Look at these kids. These kids were hanging out so much time in the arcade, they got a news article written about them. Asteroid Marathon. 6 youths to attempt 2-day game on 1 quarter. That would be awesome. That's what we did. That's the world record. We weren't trying to do a eat the Tide Pod challenge. We weren't trying to dump buckets of ice on our head. We were trying to go 2 days on 1 quarter of asteroids. These are kids hanging out. This is what it looked. These are teenagers. This is what teenagers looked like when I was in the 80s. I was like, damn, I can't wait to look old and grown up like these teenagers. So, what's it look like when you see a group of teenagers today? Well, let's take a look. Now it takes you a few minutes to even figure out which one's the boy and which ones are the girls. Of course, they're not hanging out at the arcade. They're taking selfies with their telephone. Can you imagine if someone told you back in the 80s, hey, I want you to take a picture with your phone? That wouldn't have went too well. But look at them. They all three of them, they can't look up with each other. Hang out. At least they're hanging out together. But they're not really together. They're just next to each other. Their minds aren't together. You know, one thing that was fun to do in the 80s was watch Star Trek. Now, I always consider Star Trek The Next Generation more of an 80s thing. More of a 90s thing. But we did it. We watched Star Trek in the 80s. As you can see here, look at this fun bunch. Look at these. They just look like they're there for each other, having fun. And look what kids are watching today when they turn on Star Trek. I'm sure they're great people and everything, but they look like they're in a bubble. They look like they all have the same thoughts, the same opinions and everything. It just looks boring. And I tried to watch a couple episodes of this crap. It was horrible. So let's get back to looking at kids did in the 80s. And we hung out at the mall. Oh boy, did we ever. Check out these kids, these boys. They're trying to talk to some girls. They're hanging out at the mall. They're having fun. Look at this kid over there. He's going to walk up there and ask them maybe they want some concert tickets or something. People love to sell bootleg concert tickets to the kids back then. You got the kid in his tank top. I think I see a couple of mullets. You see a lot of cool stuff. You even see someone with a purse. Do girls still carry purses? I'm not really sure. But let's see what kids look like today when they hang out at the mall. That's about right. That's about what you see at the mall. If you're lucky, you might be able to see a crackhead rubbing some shit on the wall. But other than that, that's about what you're going to see right there. You're not even going to see anyone at the food court. Now, one thing we loved to do in the 80s was ride our bikes. Man, did anything equal freedom more than turning about 12 or 13 when you got your first real bike? I'm not talking about your little plastic, little Bo Peep bike. I'm talking about your real mag wheel bike where you could just ride off into the woods, down the street. Nobody had no cell phones. Nobody finding you. Jumping ramps, jumping hills. Well, these are kids from the 80s with their bicycles. How cool do they look? He's so cool, he even got Hanks on his shirt. I don't even know what that means. But let's check out what kids look like today riding their bicycles. Probably got some kind of motor or internet hook to it or something. Let's see. Oh, yes. Just like the mall. Empty. Can't even find a kid outside. Man. You gotta kind of feel sorry for those kidnappers in vans today. Back in the 80s, they could just roll up and put a kid in the back of the van and say, hey, we got Pitfall 2. And don't even come out for 3 months. Come on in the van. And you got a kid right there today. You got to come up with something more creative. Now, one thing we did like to do in the 80s, we like to eat tacos. We like tacos and burritos. And we like to go to Taco Bell. Be honest with you, in the 80s, I mostly went to Del Taco. Then it died out and it started to come back. Finally, I got a Del Taco in town. So, this is where we went. Taco Bell. We headed straight to the border. We could say that without people calling us racist. Even T. Garden Brown could tell us he was headed toward the border. What's Taco Bell look like today? Now, just missing its flair. It's just missing something today. It's all high tech. Now, what about music? Now, there was a bunch of headbangers in the 80s, and you knew when you saw a headbanger. Here's a whole group of headbangers right here. Looks like they're fixing to go to a concert. One of them's even scared of COVID, I guess, already. But look at them. They're about to have fun. They all look like they're probably in their 30s, but they're about 17, and they're going to rock out. You're going to see some devil horns. You're going to see some long hair head bobbing. And you might even see a t-shirt that says Faster Pussycat. You never know what you're going to find hanging out with these kids. Well, I couldn't find any metal kids today. There just wasn't any metal kids today. Sure, you're going to be like, hey, I know a metal kid, but not a group of metal kids I can find a picture of. So I had to go with just music and kids today. Let's see what kids look like today that's really into music. Ugh. Got to hold this phone up. I don't know about you, but we held up our lightsabers that we stole from my parents. Okay, put the keyboard down. I know, I said lightsaber when I was just talking about a lighter. I was just talking about a regular cigarette lighter. And look at it. I'm surprised they're on the phone. I'm surprised they're actually listening. They're mostly female. Females love music more than men today. I don't know. I just don't see many guys into music. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, guys listen to music. I just don't. It seems like all the, or at least from what I hear, new music just seems it's really aimed toward girls. Could be wrong. And this one, her boobs about to pop out. Didn't see that in the 80s. Boobs didn't pop out in the 80s. Nope, they just pulled them right on out. Okay, let's talk about the classroom. There's no way you grew up in the 80s while going to a classroom Well, she was one of those weird kids that did homeschooling. And let's be honest, you were smarter than all of us, but you were pretty weird. Let's be honest. There was some homeschool kids in my neighborhood. I never saw them anywhere unless we were in the woods. And they could climb up wood. They could climb up trees. We're just bare, with no shoes on or anything. Just shimmy up a tree. I don't know if they teach that in homes. I don't know. They were the weirdest kid. Every time I've known a homeschool kid, he was weird. Or she was weird. Smart, but weird. Anyway, let's look at the classroom here. You got these kids here. They're at the desk. I remember sitting at my desk doing work. This is one of those classrooms. I think it looks like I might have the lockers in the room. I have one classroom like that. Then we moved to the lockers in the hallway. But look at them. They're listening to their teacher. They're doing what they're supposed to do. A diverse group of kids and everything. Oh, let's look at the classroom of today. We only got 4 students. Got more chairs parked up in the corner over there. They're looking at some kind of screen. That's not a film projector. Hey, it's not a fun day if somebody doesn't roll that car film projector in there. You're frightened to watch a car wreck in the classroom. You're going to see some blood and guts and gore. It was awesome. Or you can get the big tray where they had the TV strapped on with straps they could roll in with a VCR. That was always fun too. Pop loader VCR. But I don't know, even they don't even look, they learn anything. They just look bored. Now, another thing we did back in the 80s is we watched TV. Like this girl right here. Look at her. She's, I bet she was a cutie back in the day, and probably still a cutie today. She's over by the fireworks. She's got a big old speaker hooked up, and she's watching something on television. I don't know what that is. Maybe you do, let me know. Looks like she might be programming the VCR for her grandmother. What a nice little girl right there. She's programming a VCR. If anybody had programmed VCR in the 80s, you know it wasn't easy. You went to some friend's house and you just flashed 12 the whole time because they gave up even trying to set the time on that thing. Because you would set it and then the power would go out. But she's getting ready to watch some television. Maybe she just recorded Kate and Allie and she wants to watch the season premiere of Kate and Allie. Who knows? But let's see what it looks like kids today when they watch TV. How boring. Looking at a portable screen on their iPad. Now, I know it's convenient. I know I've got an iPad. Just missing the fun, man. You're just missing the fun of hanging out, watching the TV. And I'm not talking a big screen, 75-inch, plasma, HD. I want a TV that looks like a dang cabinet with fake drawers on the bottom of it. And the color looks horrible. And you have to mess with those settings depending on what you're watching to get the color just right. And you never know when you're watching something and all of a sudden the picture's going to start flipping up and down. Remember that? The picture would start rotating and you had to go turn the knob again to get it. I don't know what was going on, but that would happen time to time. Let's go to the toy stores. Let's look at the Star Wars toy section back in 1980. Whoa! Somebody told me there wasn't a heaven, and I said, you've never been to this toy store. Look at this. And this was not maybe typical, but this was, you could walk in and find a lot of Star Wars, not just Star Wars. You could find rows and rows of toys. It was awesome. You know what this was going to be, guys. Let's look at a Star Wars toy section today. We've seen it. You've seen it. I've seen it. Everybody's seen it. This is really an overstocked toys. This is really overstocked toys at a Walmart. Whew, man. Well, let's check out one more. And there's one thing that us boys in the 80s loved more than video games. We loved more than riding our bikes in the woods. We loved it more than anything else. We're talking the girls of the 80s. Now, at the beginning of the 80s, a lot of us hated the girls of the 80s. But once we got a little older and we saw some cool-ass girls like this smoking before going to a Rush concert, we were like, now I see why my brother liked girls. Look at these girls. They look like they're about to have some fun. That is, one even has Jordache jeans on. So you know you in for a treat. These girls look like they don't play around. These girls are ready for some fun. They're gonna smoke some cigarettes and probably taste like an ashtray. But they're gonna have fun. So let's look at teen girls today and let's see what they look like. Ugh. I'm just scared to look at the picture because they might. They look like they're going to tell you about some blog they just wrote on Tumblr. Or they're going to want to show you their TikTok. Ooh, it's different. It's original. They're pantomiming to a song. Lip syncing. Ooh, that's original. One of them might even try to tell you her pronoun. Other one will say, I'm not even a teen girl. I'm a Zinze girl. Lady or they, I don't know. They're not even wearing shoes. Can't stand people that don't wear shoes. They just don't look fun. Now, if I was a teenage boy, maybe I would say that looks a lot better. But to me, I'd rather hang out with the smokers. That's just me. I don't want to hear about no blog. I don't want to hear about no opinion. I just want you to hang out at the concert with me. Boys, girls, kids today. You think you got it made with your internet, your fancy, great-looking video games, your paper-thin television screens, talking on the internet to one another, tweeting about it, your Netflix, any movie or television at your command. Sure, you got a lot of better stuff. Sure, you can walk around and talk on a phone. But I'll take the 80s over that any day. Sure, it was boring. Sure, sometimes we couldn't find a friend because he wasn't home and we couldn't call him. We didn't know where he was. We rode around for hours on the bike trying to see where he was. We never could find him, so we had to sit home and watch the Smurfs, although we seen that episode about 5 times. We didn't get to pick what we wanted. Hey, we just watched it because it was on television, okay? We didn't have any movie or television we wanted at our fingertips, and then to complain that there's nothing to watch. We complained there was nothing to watch because we only had 3 channels. If you're lucky, you might have 4, and that 4th one was PBS. Anyway, kids, you just don't know how good. You really don't have it. Anyway, I want to thank you for watching. Let me know what you think about the Eddies, or you say, Junkman, you're wrong. Kids today, they're having a lot more fun than you ever had. Well, maybe so. Let me know that more in the comments below. And as always, thumbs up if you like my content. Subscribe to the channel. We'll be back tomorrow with 2 videos.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.